They say that deployment changes you, and it did, but just not in the way that I was expecting. Okay, everything here is kind of what I'm packing for 6 months. We got what we call the A bag, I got some books, and then of course, any and all clothes that I'll need. I didn't come back with some grand epiphany, but I did come back with a renewed clarity. Clarity that I'd been living someone else's definition of success, that I'd been burning myself out trying to please the wrong people. And maybe, just maybe, you're there too, chasing a script that was never written for you. The transition home is always a challenge. In fact, they call it reintegration, which reminds me of like adapting to altitude sickness or something. So it's been over 2 months since I've returned from what now feels like this kind of strange 6-month blur. I wanted to make this video to talk about what I learned on my deployment. To be honest, the feeling is not so much about what I learned. If anything, it's this clarity. It's this clarity on the next steps that I want to take and the next steps that I'd already chosen before the deployment even started. And clarity is the operating word here. During the deployment, there's so much time where you can pause, you can think, you're outside of your routine, you have no responsibilities other than the mission itself. And I took a lot of time to meditate on the decisions and the convictions that I had already had about my Air Force career. A career that I've spent far too much time and energy trying to meet expectations that when attempting to fit in, often I found, I think, diminished my own potential. And this is hard to put into words per se, but it is the cold, hard truth. The desire and the need for approval, the desire to be successful, the desire to quote unquote have it all. Like these are things that really broke me down mentally and physically. And it's forced me to confront my own progressive disillusionment throughout my career. And a lot of this happened in the 2 or 3 years leading up to the deployment. But the deployment itself was this strange actual reprieve from the pressures of previous assignments. And it just gave me this relief, this relief in the decision I had already made that upon my return, I would be stepping away from my normal career field and pursue the next chapter. And the next chapter, that's where I am right now, getting ready to start teaching at Squadron Officer School. I'll talk about that more later, but ultimately what I really want to emphasize is the deployment was this period of reflection. And it was a reflection on the things that I most clearly don't want. And I think a clearer and conviction of the things that I want to never let happen again in my own life and in my own career. And I want to speak more plainly on these kinds of issues on this channel because my tendency is honestly to just kind of sugarcoat my experience and massage my experiences a little bit and really just get to the more practical productivity tips, leadership and philosophy conversations. Ultimately, this stuff is much more helpful when it's born out of my own honest experiences. And that's the simple truth. The path of the quote-unquote successful Air Force intelligence officer is very clearly defined and structured, and the unfortunate reality is that if pursued, that path requires you to have very little control over where you're assigned, and most importantly, who you're assigned to work for. And the reality of my own experience is that some of the leaders, you can call it that I've worked for and around in my career have been very effective at putting on a show of demanding excellence, but really beneath the right talking points are leaders and a system that is often a gross, hypocritical, bureaucratic bunch of empty suits, empty uniforms, empty suits, but individuals who have little understanding of taking care of people, right? Or the mission. And those are the two most important things that leaders anywhere are supposed to be able to prioritize. And these are things that I've experienced and I've learned the hard way. And these experiences are what drove my desire to step outside of my career field and take this teaching job, literally teaching leadership and officership at Maxwell, because I want in whatever way I can to make some small difference for future Air Force officers who are going to face the exact same challenges I have. And that's why I'm so passionate about the horrible impact that poor leadership has within organizations. And that's why with not just this channel, but also in my career, I want to return to what I know my own strengths to be, because I think they were often diminished and at times I just abandoned them in my more people-pleasing pursuits of poor leadership. That's a lot of peas. So my next chapter, like this current chapter that I'm in, like those are the things that I'm wanting to explore. I'm wanting to be more clear with my own autonomy, creativity. I want to do more writing, more speaking, more creating of these kinds of videos. And I think these things are so important, and I want to bring them into the classroom and bring them into my own creative projects like this. So yeah, I'm recording this in this new studio in the new house. I've been building it over the last week as we've been unpacking, finishing our move. Literally all of our worldly possessions. We've just started this new chapter in Montgomery of my own Air Force career. And I'm really looking forward to this assignment. I'm also really glad and trying to focus on not ending a tough chapter in my own Air Force experience, focusing on the negative, but really just kind of embrace that clarity of being more true to my own values as a leader and making those the focus. I'm recording this not too long after Memorial Day, and I do think of a lot of the sacrifices for this country that have been made over generations of intelligence professionals, like my actual day job. And it was particularly showcased really well in the Osama bin Laden Netflix documentary. It just came out. It's really good. But it reminded, watching that documentary did remind me of the impact that a small number of really dedicated Americans had in really helping remove the face of a great evil from this earth. And that's a serious but very true part of our history. And I'm very proud that I've had my own small part in that tradition, in that career field. And my challenge is wrestling with and reconciling my own frustration and my experiences in my career, but recognizing in a weird way that I wouldn't trade them for anything. Like, I know I've played my part, and my experiences, good and bad, are what made me who I am today, and more importantly, will shape who I become in the future. So yeah, that's a little bit of a different video, but it's one that I've been wanting to make, and it's an approach to my own creative projects that I really want to emphasize, which is a greater level of honesty, but hopefully in a way that when we talk about productivity and goal setting and but you are the one who defines your own success. These are the things I love talking about, and it's born of my own experiences. So that'll do it for this video. Until next time, may the Force be with you. Always.